Hey guys, Peter Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. Once again, I'm presenting my top 5 movies and shows of the year, this time looking, of course, at 2021. I did enjoy more movies and shows than the ones I'm going to list here, but I've found that keeping it to a tight top 5, makes it a more challenging and really enjoyable list for me to put together. I hope you'll find something here that you like. First, I do need to give a shout out to the movie Free Guy, which would be my number 6 if this was a top 6 list, for its great mix of comedy, sci-fi action, and really kind of sweet romance. I loved sharing that movie with my wife and with my boys over Christmas vacation, and I'm really glad it has joined my Blu-ray collection. But now, on with my top 5. Number 5. The Wheel of Time Season 1. For years, fantasy movies and TV have seemingly been made, in my estimation, only for kids, or lusty teenagers and 20-somethings, or lusty adults. Shallow romance or naked people have been the status quo, even when adapting source material not known for that kind of content. Finally, I feel like I'm getting to enjoy a premium fantasy series almost completely lacking those traits. A serious fantasy series for adults with visible magic, which I really love, and no naked people, almost. I think just a little bit somewhere. I can't remember specifically. My wife was helping me kind of avoid those moments. But it's got dramatic Lord of the Rings movie vibes. It is controversial for departing from the books in some significant ways, but I'm enjoying it, and now reading the first book as a distinct experience and appreciating each one for what they are. It probably helps that I did not read the books prior to seeing the show. I think that it's been frustrating to a lot of hardcore fans of the books, but for someone like me who hasn't, I'm just enjoying this for what it is, and then picking up the books and starting to enjoy them, at least the first one, for what it is. While 1 or 2 episodes in the first season could have had a bit more action or suspense for my tastes, I will take less of either of those in exchange for the nice focus on characters and drama that this show gives. On top of all that, it's a show my wife and I have both equally enjoyed and watched together, which is an awesome thing and not common for us at all. After enjoying Season 1 so much, I wait now in anticipation for Season 2 of Amazon Prime's The Wheel of Time. My number 4 is Boss Level. This movie is being made here decades after Groundhog Day kicked things off. Time loop stories have really become much more common, but one of my favorites now is Boss Level. It's a Hulu original movie starring Frank Grillo, who you may recognize as, I believe the character's name is Crossbones from the Captain America and Avengers movies. Grillo plays a special forces operative trying to manage a broken family life when he awakes to discover that he's living the same day over and over again and is being hunted down by this colorful assortment of elite killers for reasons that he cannot explain. From that point on, it's this nearly equal blend of action and comedy with great moments of family relationship drama too that creates this cocktail that I think is just made for Peter Franson. The effects aren't always the most believable, but the action, the ideas being portrayed in the action, still great. And the way that they leverage the time loop for both action and comedy, I think, gives both Edge of Tomorrow and Groundhog Day a run for their money. Although it required paying a little extra for the import since it's not being distributed yet on Blu-ray in America, just staying on the Hulu streaming service for the foreseeable future, it seems. But that little extra price to import it was totally worth it to make Boss Level a new favorite in my Blu-ray collection. All right, my number 3 is Superman and Lois Season 1. Now, I am sadly not a fan of the CW DC superhero shows, despite being a longtime hardcore DC Comics fan. They just cater too much to that sort of lusty teenage and 20-something audience that I mentioned earlier, with writing that I kind of roll my eyes at and visual effects that are very hit or miss compared to premium TV standards. But the CW wanted to do something different with Superman and Lois. They said that in the promotional materials leading up to the release of the first season, and I think they largely succeeded in doing something different from the other CW DC shows. While there is a little teen romance here and there, those are really just present, I think, in service to the main source of drama. This is largely a show about families, the relationships between husbands and wives, between parents and kids, and the bonds and frictions between brothers. All those things are explored here, and unlike so many shows that create drama by introducing infidelity or by otherwise destroying relationships altogether or risking destroying relationships altogether, Superman and Lois is not about that. It's about a family who does not and will not put divorce or dissolution in some way on the table as a serious option. It's about a family who, at least by popular standards, is really good and virtuous, who love each other and largely do the right thing. The drama doesn't come from these obviously terrible lapses in moral judgment, but instead from the pain of choosing the right thing, or the problems that result from choosing a right thing, but maybe not the best thing, or choosing the right thing that still leads to hurt and misunderstanding. And of course, it has regular doses of Superman action, along with an increased attention to cinematography that's lacking in other CW shows. As a DC-loving husband and father of two boys who are actually only a few years younger than Lois and Clark's boys are supposed to be, Superman and Lois Season 1 was another release in 2021 that seemed almost tailor-made for Peter Franson. And surprise, surprise, I'm already really enjoying the start of Season 2. My number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll try to keep this spoiler-free and won't detail anything not already revealed in the trailers for this movie. Spider-Man No Way Home was so much more satisfying than I thought it would be. It had tons of great Spider-Man action, of course, and more of the endearing comedy and characterizations that I loved from the first two movies in the Tom Holland trilogy. But then it also fully embraced the sadder side of Spider-Man, who has repeatedly been set against the backdrop of tragedy in numerous forms throughout his time in the comics. But these Tom Holland movies have not leaned into that facet of Spider-Man's publishing history like the previous film franchises did. Both Spider-Man and his villains are often tragic figures, and this movie embraced that, even as it still kept the jokes coming as well. In more ways than one, this movie honored the tragic take of the Spider-Man character as put forth in the Tobey Maguire movies, or as put forth even more so in the Andrew Garfield installments. And it was the way they specifically honored elements of the Garfield movies that brought about the most powerfully moving moments for me. It certainly leans on nostalgia, but not merely. In fact, with its multiverse story that borrows characters from the previous franchises, as already revealed in the trailers for the movie, it does more than honor those films, but in some ways, I think it further completes them. I don't know how it's going to hold up for me on repeat viewings, but Spider-Man No Way Home was a fantastic experience for me that was really second to none, except for one other little movie, and that's my number 1, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, can you believe we actually got this thing? I can't. And yet, after watching it, it's hard to believe we ever got the theatrical version instead, once upon a time. Twice as long as the original and scrapping most of the footage used in the theatrical cut, in fact, scrapping all footage that was part of the extensive reshoots, Zack Snyder's Justice League is a radically different experience that shares only the most basic plot skeleton with the theatrical version. While I thought I would have major problems with the 4:3 aspect ratio, and admittedly would still prefer a widescreen format that just fills up my entire TV, my eyes adjusted surprisingly fast, and it helps to know that I'm seeing all of what Zack Snyder intended in each shot, which all looks fantastic to me. Of course, if you didn't like Man of Steel or the extended cut of Batman vs. Superman, this movie is probably not for you. But for those of us who are seemingly calibrated to Snyder's wavelength, or who are somehow tuned to receive and appreciate his storytelling language, the incredible superhero spectacle combined with the moving character drama in this movie results for me in one of the greatest superhero movie experiences that I've had in the last 10 years. Do I absolutely love everything about the movie? No. But it has joined the ranks of those movies in my collection that I'll actually be afraid to watch as often as I'd like, for fear that the magic will become too familiar and lose its power. Thankfully, it has a huge 4-hour runtime, which makes frequent repeat viewings in one sitting, as I think it should be watched, difficult to schedule. And thankfully, again, that 4-hour runtime results in an epic, rich experience that now even overtakes Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame as the new standard I want to be met in superhero team and crossover movies. In short, Zack Snyder's Justice League is one of my favorite films of all time. And now, the most thought-provoking movie or show that I experienced in 2021. Had to think about it a little bit, but the more I thought about it, the more I was, really firmly established in giving this to Superman and Lois Season 1. I think every episode of this show in some way gave me worthwhile things to think about related to my own roles as a husband and father. Superman is often effectively used to parallel Jesus, I think, serving as a sort of savior figure. But like many comic book characters, he is malleable. And in Superman and Lois, he's not a savior. He's a husband and dad who fights to make the right choices for the sake of his marriage and for his family. He doesn't parallel Christ, but in some ways, unintentionally, parallels someone trying to be Christ-like. Lois is also a more interesting and admirable character to me than she's ever been before, because I see both her fierce strength as a reporter, truth-teller, and mama bear to her sons, as well as seeing her fragility, her affection and devotion to her husband and her 2 boys. This show focuses on very relatable relationship challenges that would not be considered high stakes enough in most other dramas. But it's that more grounded and less earth-shattering nature to the drama that makes me feel it all the more. For example, one of the most moving episodes to me involves a subplot where Lois and Clark are just trying to find some time together for just the 2 of them. But Clark's understandably prioritized work, saving lives as Superman, gets in the way again and again. And yet Clark keeps fighting to give Lois the time and romantic affection that she craves, while Lois lovingly, if sadly, endures when those moments are cut short, or don't happen at all. The stakes here are not divorce. They are the simple hurts that come with challenging times in loving marriages and in loving families that are determined to remain healthy and thriving. Sadly, my wife tried the show and it wasn't for her, and I don't think my boys are quite old enough yet to watch it with me, but soon, I hope, maybe in a couple years. In the meantime, the CW's Superman and Lois has made me stand up when the credits roll and go hug my wife, or spend a little extra time with my boys. And when geek entertainment can do that, then it becomes meaningful and worthwhile on a whole new level. Well, that's it. That's my list for 2021. I'd love to hear about the shows or movies that stood out to you last year. Then be sure to check out the Christian Geek Central podcast for lots more content as we continue to geek out and seek the truth.